This way. Come on, Shizu. Come on, daughter. This way. In here.
We're not staying here, are we, Father? You can't possibly believe we're meant to stay here.
Why not? There's plenty of other people here. Waiting, resting, sleeping. At least we're safe here, Shizu.
Can you keep your voices down, please? There are people trying to sleep here. And close the door behind you when you're finished. We're trying to keep this place warm.
Sorry. We'll keep our voices down.
I don't like the feel of this place. There's something unpleasant about it. What is this place, anyway?
What have you done with our Kimishi Bay? Where is our bicycle, Shizu?
Oh, it's just outside, Father. Nobody's going to steal that old heap of rust.
Very well, but could you please bring in our Kimishi Bay? Now! Quickly, daughter, go!
So, what is this place?
This is the railway station bar. We should be able to find something to eat and get something to drink here. Then, tomorrow morning at first light, we will push on back into the old city.
And are all of these people going into the old city too?
I doubt it, daughter. I think most of these people are headed to the coastal region, away from the old city.
So, why are we going back into the old city? The soldier we met yesterday said the old city's in ruins.
Yes. But in the midst of those ruins, under the rubble and the dirt, there are children, women, old people who cannot escape the fighting. Some of them will have survived, and they will need our help. Now please, will you bring in the Kimishi Bay? We cannot afford to lose that.
Did I hear you right? You mean to say you're going back into the old city?
Yes. First thing tomorrow morning.
You must be crazy. Going back there is like walking into the jaws of death.
Death. Well, how did the bard Shakespeare word it? If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, and yet it will come, the readiness is all. Anyways, my death is not really significant.
And what about your daughter? Is she going with you?
Naturally, Shizu will be accompanying me. She is devoted to her father, our art form, and our message of universal peace.
Is that true?
Shizu is a young lady of few words.
She doesn't convince me. I don't think she wants to go back to the city. You can see it in her eyes. The eyes do not lie.
No. Shizu is devoted to our art form and spreading our message of universal peace to all the children of all the cities of the world.
There's not much universal peace in our city at the moment. Last person I met who made it out alive said most of it's been destroyed in the fighting. Temples in ruins, The old library building completely smashed to pieces. Books burnt. That's why this place is so packed. Everyone's leaving, moving to the coast.
You see, there's a train leaving for the old port in the morning. I suggest you and your daughter find seats on it, if you can.
No, thank you. Our mission calls us back to the city.
Back to the city! You are foolish and irresponsible!
You seriously believe that your commissibe, your toy theatre, has any relevance or value in such violent times as these? Who's going to stop and listen to your stories while the bombs drop around them?
You see, commissibe is all right for little children, a silly story to occupy their minds for a few minutes. Well, when I was little, do you remember, Mother?
Yes.
We used to rush out to the street corner when we heard the commissibe performer, and then he sold us sweets and animal-shaped biscuits. It was fun, but when I was this high, has no relevance now.
Anyway then, what is your story?
It is called 1,000 Paper Cranes.
Never heard of it.
It tells the story of a young girl called Sadako and how she folds 1,000 paper cranes.
I think I've heard this story before. It's about the little girl in Hiroshima and the atom bomb that destroys the city.
We've heard this one before, haven't we? It's a very sad story, but it has a very important message.
Well, go on then. Show us. Go on. Tell us your tale, Mr. Commissibe, Mr. Universal Peace.
No. Now is not an appropriate time.
Why not? Are you afraid we'll sneer at you?
If you think it is so important, then show it to us now. We may not be alive tomorrow morning. You never know. May change our minds.
It won't change my mind, I can guarantee that. But it will help pass the time until the train arrives in 7 hours. And it'll help entertain this lot. We can even help you if you like, my son and I.
I'm definitely sure this lot will be willing to lend a hand.
Well, I suppose if we are going to do it, we will need some help.
We can help, can't we?
Wake up! We've got some free entertainment for you. And it's meant to be good for your mind as well.
I love this one. It's very simple. Just be careful with her. Come. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the famous story, 1,000 Paper Cranes.
Our chronicle begins on the morning of August 6th, 1945. The place is Hiroshima.
The weather in Hiroshima on that day is hot, clear, and bright.
Sadako, a young girl, is just 2 years old. She is at home with her mother, her 4-year-old brother, Masahiro, her grandmother, and her father.
When suddenly the sky exploded with a blinding flash of white light.
Then came the sound of a terrible explosion, and a fierce wind swept through their home.
Sadako was hurled out the window like a ragdoll thrown away in anger.
Her mother heard Sadako outside calling for her. She lay in the garden, alive, seemingly without any injuries.
Then the huge black cloud came. The air seemed to boil. The heat became unbearable, and black dust covered the landscape like a shroud.
Time passed.
Time passed.
It is now 9 years later, and Sadako's family had started to rebuild their lives.
9 years later, and the black cloud had almost been forgotten.
When Sadako became ill.
Sadako had to go to the hospital, where the doctor examined her.
He said,
It is the atom bomb disease. Sadako only has a few months left to live. The black cloud is to blame.
Sadako had to leave all her friends at school and go to the hospital.
while at the hospital, Sadako made friends with a girl called Kyo. Kyo told her about an old legend that said,
If you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your wish will come true.
Sadako wanted nothing more than to get better. So every day, she folded paper cranes. And although she felt better with every crane she folded, it took up more and more of her strength.
This made her family very worried.
Sadako placed the paper cranes around her bed. They were so beautiful, especially in the early morning light.
While Sadako folded the cranes, her friend Kyo told her stories.
Stories about walking in the park, the cherry trees in spring, travelling to distant cities, dragons and magicians.
Night after night, Sadako dreamed of going home, to be with her family again, to sleep in her own bed again.
But Sadako never came home.
Sadako became very ill now.
One morning, she asked for a drink of flavoured tea.
She said, that tastes so good.
Then she closed her eyes forever.
Sadako, however, was not forgotten. Donations came flooding in from all corners of the country.
From all the corners of the world.
A statue in her memory and all the other residents and children of Hiroshima was erected in the Memorial Peace Park.
On the base of the statue are engraved these words.
This is our prayer, to create peace in the world.
These words must be heard and remembered, and never forgotten. Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Is that a true story?
Of course it's a true story. Don't you know any history? I thought everyone knew that was a true story.
I don't remember hearing that story before tonight.
I was always taught that we need to honour those who came before us. Our ancestors. They have had such an influence upon our lives, and they continue to do so too. That's a very moving story, no doubt about that. But I prefer stories of the supernatural, you know, like the ones my grandma used to tell me.
I don't believe these supernatural stories from ancient times. Superstition and nonsense.
Well, I didn't believe in all this supernatural hokum until a few months ago. When I started to get the impression there was a little girl in my house. I would hear her upstairs playing. She seemed to follow me around for a few days. I felt like when I was travelling, I had a little girl with me, holding my hand, walking with me, sitting next to me. Then one day, I was was speaking with a friend, and I noticed that the cat had stopped cleaning herself and was staring at something. I looked and jumped as I saw the image of a girl with long, coppery hair go skipping past. I haven't seen her since, but I believe her to be Mako, my second cousin.
That is a really creepy tale.
We know somebody who's seen a ghost.
Everyone in this country knows someone who's seen a ghost. If all these stories were true, this place would be full of ghosts.
No, our friend has actually seen a ghost.
And she's not the sort to make up a story. She hasn't got the wit or the imagination to invent that kind of thing.
She's dead boring. Brainy, but boring.
Our friend is called Asan, and this is Asan's story. She was in middle school at the time.
It is one winter's evening after Asan has returned from school.
Her father is still at work. She makes herself a bowl of noodles and then settles down to do some schoolwork.
She's very conscientious, is Asan. Always top of the class in all subjects.
Except art. She isn't that good at art. That's true. But apart from art, she's a real brain box. Dull, but brainy, if you know what I mean.
When suddenly there's a knock at the door.
Now, Asan isn't the nervous type, so she goes straight to see who's at the door. Not the sort of thing I would have done.
She's the nervous type.
I would have peeped for a curtain before I answered the door to anyone. But Asan wasn't like that, so she goes straight to the door to see who's there.
And there, on the doorstep,
Stands Asan's best friend Aisu.
who's also very brainy too.
And Aisu says, in a very quiet whisper, "Water, please. Water, please." Now, Asan is a bit puzzled by this.
Strange, she thinks.
But she goes straight to the kitchen to get her friend a cup of water. But by the time she returns, Aisu was gone.
Asan thinks it's weird that her friend was so thirsty.
But she couldn't wait the few moments it took her to fetch the water. Still, she decides she would question her friend in the morning at school.
So she returns to her textbook.
Asan loved history. Because she loved facts.
Dates, lists of emperors.
Asan can recite a list of emperors right from the Edo period to the present day. That sort of thing always impresses the teachers because they love a list too.
So Asan pores over her history textbook.
She is so engrossed in her studies, she doesn't see her father returning home from work. Her father works in the local bakery and his hair is always covered in flour.
And he has to work long hours to help pay for his daughter's education.
He doesn't mind too much because Asan is such a diligent student. But that night, Asan's father had a perplexed look about him.
He seemed nervous and agitated.
He paced to and fro, clutching his hat in his hands. Asan knew something was wrong.
He hesitated before speaking.
Daughter, as I was about to close the bakery this evening, I heard an urgent knocking at the wooden shutters. When I opened the shutters, I saw your friend Aisu's mother standing there with a distraught expression on her face. She mumbled and stuttered for a few moments before blurting out, "She's dead. Aisu is dead. Tell Asan, please. We cannot give the news to her. Tell her her friend is gone." Then she rushed off.
For a moment there is silence. Then Asan speaks.
This cannot be true, Father. I've only just spoken with Aisu. She was here with me a few moments ago.
Daughter, Aisu took her own life earlier this evening. She cannot have been here with you earlier.
Asan's world changed
in that instant.
Her school books seem to crumble into ashes.
She thinks of that last moment with her friend. If only she could rewind time.
If only she could start that day again, she would do things differently.
But none of us can do that. The day was gone.
Aisu was gone.
It is said that those who die with some lingering issue, those who don't properly close up their lives before dying,
Go into the afterlife with an overwhelming thirst.
They want water.
they beg and cry for water.
But rarely can we help them.
Many weeks later, Aisu's mother thanked Asan for offering her dead daughter a final drink of water.
And the two of them went together to place the bowl of water before Aisu's grave.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Very good, but I still don't believe a word of it. I don't believe any of these stories about hungry or thirsty ghosts.
There are ghosts. Definitely. Definitely. I believe in ghosts, but I do not think of them exactly as dead people. I think that their spirits walk among us, guarding the house, worrying about our daily activities.
So what do you do every year during the Ghost Festival if you don't believe in ghosts?
I cook myself a big meal, and then normally my friends and I play poker all night long.
That doesn't sound like showing respect for your ancestors.
During the Ghost Festival, you should be making food offerings and burning incense and joss paper to welcome the visiting spirits of your ancestors.
Do you even clean the family grave for the festival?
No time for those old-fashioned traditions. You see, young people have much more important things to do, like making money.
You are showing disrespect to your ancestors. Our ancestors need the love and the respect of the living to be at peace. Their happiness depends upon us.
I remember at school reading tales from times past. I didn't think much of most of those stories, but there was one story about a ghostly female figure and a tiny baby. Do any of you remember that tale?
That story's hundreds of years old. We want ancient stuff. We want modern tales.
Hold on, give him a chance. Go on then, tell us your story. The old ones are often the best ones.
The story of the four friends and the ghostly figure. I'm going. I've lost all my money this evening.
Home? Already?
To sleep.
Me too. My pockets are empty too.
You can't go now. Just one more game, one more throw of the dice. But the bottle is empty. There's no food left. My daughter will want to know where all her housekeeping money has gone.
Ignore her, let's go. I'll walk with you, my friend. At least part of the way. As far as the ford over the river at Kurashiki.
Kurashiki? I wouldn't venture that way this late at night.
I'm not another one of your ludicrous tales.
Ask in town, everybody knows.
But you believe everything.
No. This time it's true what our friend is saying. Last evening, when I visited my father, he too told me the same story about the woman with her baby at Kurashiki. And my father is definitely not as vulnerable as our friend here. So what do you expect me to do? There is no other way for me to return home tonight, unless I walk all the way to the wooden footbridge in the town. cover triple the length of my journey, and I'm already late. No thank you, friends.
Well, don't blame me. Personally, I would not cross Kurashiki at night time.
So, why don't we stay here and chance another luck with the dice? You never know, you might make up all of your losses.
You've intrigued me, my friend. Tell me more about this figure. It sounds fascinating.
Well, it's all a bit of a mystery.
Great. Mystery. I love a bit of a mystery.
I don't take any heed of all this tittle-tattle. I'm going. Are you coming?
Now wait just a minute. Let's hear what our friend has to say.
I guess you have my undivided attention for 1 minute then. Go on, speak!
For the past 3 nights.
Why is it always 3 nights? Why can't it be 1 night or 2 nights?
For the past 3 nights, a ghostly female figure with a small baby in her arms has appeared at the river in Kurashiki.
Do you mean where those large boulders have been placed by the gods, so that a person may safely ford the river?
Exactly.
When I was younger, I used to leap easily from boulder to boulder without getting my feet wet. I can't do that now, so I am going the long way round.
For the past 3 nights, I have good authority on this, friends. As people were crossing the river at about midnight, suddenly from the depths of the river, a ghostly female figure with a tiny baby in her arms appears and speaks. Hold this baby. Wouldn't you please hold this baby?
And then?
Nobody knows. The apparition is so terrifying that anybody who has seen it has fled at once.
Does this figure resemble anyone from the village?
Some say she's a local woman who died in childbirth.
Nonsense, too much sake, that's what I put it down to.
3 different people on 3 different nights have seen this sight. It's not feasible.
It would be a brave person who tried to cross over at that point tonight.
So, there's another reason for staying here in the safety and warmth of my house. No strange female apparitions here, friends.
No, I must go. I have enough explaining to do already. Going back penniless.
No, you're not going across the boulders at the ford, are you?
Well, I'm certainly not going the long way round. That way I'd end up in even more trouble. Besides, you know what I think of these stories.
You say that now, but I bet when you get there,
The starless sky.
The dark, murky river.
the wind sighing through the trees.
The moon glinting on the water.
Listen, friend. I bet you that on such a night as this, you won't cross the ford. Shake on it.
You bet all my money. Accepted.
You're crazy.
Only one problem. How will I know that you have kept your promise?
You mean that you don't trust me? After all these years of friendship? When have I ever cheated any of you before? I give you my word, is that not enough?
We can trust you, our lifelong friend, can't we?
I'll tell you what I will do. Once I've reached the other side, I will tie this kimono to the branches of the large blood-good maple tree. Will that suffice?
Yes, of course.
Good idea.
And I'm off. I will return early tomorrow morning to collect my earnings.
Can we really trust him?
Why not?
Surely we can trust our friend. Anyway, we will be able to see if his kimono is tied to the blood-good maple tree in the morning.
I don't trust him. I'm going to follow him and I suggest you two come with me. We'll need to make sure he doesn't see us, so we'll hide in the safety of the pampas grass.
That seems wrong to me. Spying on our friend.
It's my money he wants, and I don't trust him. Let's go.
We must make sure he doesn't see us. Let's stay hidden in the pampas grass.
Let's go quickly then.
I can see now why no one is willing to cross this point at night. There is certainly a strange atmosphere about it. The sounds of the water rushing over the stones. The wind sighing through the maple tree branches. the raindrops seeming to float in the air itself, the moon rushing across the starless sky like a ghost hurrying to hide. I must get to this side of the river. I wish I had not agreed to this wager.
Can you see him? I can't see a thing.
I can't see him, but I can hear him. If you listen, you'll hear the noise of someone splashing through the water. Just listen.
I think I can see him. There! On a large boulder in the centre of the river.
Where? Where? Oh, there. Why is he not moving?
He's given up on the challenge. I told you, it's too much for him. My money is safe.
Shh, what's that noise? Listen, did you hear?
That sounds like a woman's voice. From over there.
Where? Where?
It seems like the voice is coming from the midst of the river.
Listen, there it is again. It sounds so disconsolate.
Please, hold my baby. Won't you please hold my baby, kind sir?
What is she saying?
She's saying, hold my baby. Won't you please hold my baby?
I see him now. I see our friend. He's taken the baby from the woman, but he's turning away, as if to return to this bank of the river.
Let's go. I don't like this. This is alarming. I don't mind admitting I'm really scared now.
He's carrying some sort of bundle in his arms.
I can see him now. What is he carrying?
Let's go, please. We will be cursed if we stay here. We have disturbed the river spirits, and we should be punished for our deeds.
Please, give me back my baby.
Did you hear that? Did you hear her?
Let's go, please. I don't care about the money. I don't care about any foolish bets.
The woman has gone. Where's she gone? She's disappeared.
I can see him now. He's here.
He's carrying the baby in his arms.
You said I wouldn't do it, but I've waded across the river and returned. I've even carried this baby to safety. Look!
I told you this was a mistake. We need to leave now.
But where is the baby? Where is the baby? I swear I took it from the female figure. She pleaded with me to take it from her, and I reached out and grasped it firmly. I could feel its tiny body, so I took great care to step over the boulders, so that there was no accident. But where is her baby now?
What we've witnessed here was beyond our understanding. We all saw the female figure, didn't we? And then we all saw our friend here return with a small bundle in his arms. We did, didn't we?
But where is her baby? Where is her baby now? Only these dried leaves.
Now perhaps you believe me. This was indeed the woman who died in childbirth.
Let's hope we've appeased the soul of this ghostly apparition in some way.
What about our wager fund?
You can keep all the money as far as I'm concerned. We should all leave this place at once.
Agreed.
In the morning, I will take all of this money and place it in the donations box at the temple.
Let us go our separate ways and think on these events.
The events of this night have shaken me to the core.
I don't think we will ever be able to forget the events of this night.
And that was the last time the four of us ever sat down again. After that, we drifted our different ways into different cities, and we never spoke to each other again. I often think back to that night, and I regret the loss of that special friendship that we all thought would last forever.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Well, what do you make of that particular story, Mr. Skeptical Student? Personally, I think that's one of the best tales I've ever heard.
Don't get me wrong, I like a good story just like the rest of you. It's just ghost stories that I object to.
Well, what kind of stories do you like then?
I like a story with a message, a parable, something that makes one think. Do you know the story of the holy monk and the beggar?
Go on then, it's your turn. Tell us this wonderful tale.
It's really simple but clever too. You two can help. You can be the monk, And you can be the beggar. Is everyone listening? The tale of the holy monk and the beggar. It is a cold winter's day. Strong winds blow through the streets of the town. A poor beggar sits by the side of the road. He is still as ice. A learned monk, wrapped in a thick blanket, approaches the beggar. At first, he thinks the beggar has already frozen to death, but then he notices him move slightly. Naturally, the monk feels sympathy for the beggar, and he takes his blanket and throws it where it lands at the beggar's feet.
You must be cold. Here, put this on.
But the beggar slowly stands up, takes the blanket, and he gives it back to the holy monk.
Why are you giving this back to me? Do you not want this blanket to warm you on such a bitterly cold day?
And the beggar replies,
When you give something to a person, even to a beggar, you must do so with respect. Bow to him and place it before him. Even beggars deserve respect.
and the beggar walks off. The holy monk remains there, sunk deep in thought. Eventually, the holy monk walks slowly away. Afterwards, he told others what he had learned that day. We must show respect to beggars. We must not look down, even on beggars. What he said is true for wise monks, but I ask you, do you think fools can understand such wisdom?
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
No offence, student. That was quite good. But we don't want moral stories with a message in times like these. We want entertainment, not education. We want a rattling good yarn.
So, why don't we tell them the story of the Rattling Bridge?
That sounds ideal. Would you like any help with that?
Oh, no. We've got this one, no problem. Once upon a time, in the old village of Ozarka, we knew this old man. I'll play the part of the old man. You can play his wife.
What? Why do I have to play the part of the wife? You should play the part of the wife.
I'm your mother, that's why. I said so. Plus, it suits you so well. Are you ready?
Yes.
Miserable old devil my wife was, always moaning, moaning, moaning. Damn these flies! This house is freezing.
As you can see, his wife had a lot to put up with.
Where's my supper, wife?
It's in the pot. Go get it yourself.
Can't get a decent wife for love nor money these days. Anyway, in the front of my house, there was this old wooden suspension bridge that leads across the mountain valley into the neighbouring village.
Late one winter's evening, we heard the distinctive rattling of someone crossing the bridge, accompanied by whispering voices.
Strange. It's too dangerous to come out on this night. Wife, I must go warn them of the dangers.
So he rushed out to warn the travellers.
Stop! Stop! It's far too dangerous to make the crossing on such a wild night.
But when he got outside, he saw nothing. A living person
sight.
Strange. I swore I heard voices.
This continued night after night. Always the rattling of the bridge and the whispering voices.
On some nights, I even heard cries of sorrow and people wailing.
Unsure of what to do, my husband consulted a fortune teller.
This is on you. Because you said we weren't going to need any extra cast members.
Well, I can't think of everything, can I? I can't do it. I'm a husband and I'd be talking to myself.
Well,
That would be silly.
I can't do it either. I can't play two people at once. Anyway, I'm beginning to get into this part now. I'm beginning to,
identify with her situation.
Well then, we'll have to go ask one of them. Go on then, see if one of them will do it. Any volunteers? Oh, no, too ugly. Anyone? Priest, what about you? Son, we found our fortune teller.
You are hearing the march of the dead on their way to hell. It is well known that there are many entrances to hell located nearby. And so the dead people must have discovered this bridge as a suitable path. The gates to hell are open throughout the ghost month. It is believed that many hungry and wayward ghosts come to visit the living.
Hearing this, I decided to move as far away from the bridge as possible.
Quickly, we must leave here at once.
We arranged to have a memorial service held at the bridge, offering prayers to ease the suffering of those poor souls cast into hell.
And from that time on, no more strange noises were heard.
However, to this day, that bridge is known as Gata Gata Bashi.
meaning the rattling bridge.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Very good. And very well acted, I must say. Come on, anyone else got a good story to pass the time? It's gone 5 o'clock, there's no point trying to sleep now. I mean, Trade for the Coast will be here in a couple of hours.
If it comes at all.
Another story. Come on, who hasn't told us a story yet? Priest, what about you? Don't you have an interesting yarn to entertain us with?
Well, I'm afraid I don't know many stories, and the ones I do know tend to be the classics. However, there is this one collection of short stories called Ugetsu Monogatari, Tales of Moonlight and Rain. If anybody's interested in listening to that.
Not another old-fashioned tale.
You need to learn a little respect, young man. Ugetsu Monogatari is one of Japan's most famous collection of short stories. They tell the lives of our ancestors, farmers, traveling monks, ordinary people like you and me.
Please, sir, tell us your story.
Osono's story from Ugetsu Monogatari. long time ago, in the remote province of Tamba, there lived a rich merchant named Inna Mariah. I knew their family well, an honourable family. Inna Mariah had a daughter named Asano. One day, the father called his daughter to him.
Daughter, listen to me. It seems a shame to waste your obvious talents in this rural backwater here. So, to complete your education, I have decided to send you to the capital, to Kyoto, where you'll be instructed by the very best teachers in those polite accomplishments taught to the women of the capital. During your time in the city, you'll be under the care of some of my most trusted attendants who see to your safety and well-being.
Thank you, Father.
After the daughter was thus educated in the city of Kyoto, she dutifully returned to her father's house in Tamba.
In time, she was married to a family friend of ours, a merchant named Nagagoriya. She lived happily with him for nearly 4 years. They had one child, a son.
However, after their 4th year of marriage, Asano became ill and died.
On the night after the funeral of Asano, her husband came to me and said this.
Sir, I have seen my wife again. She is in her room downstairs. She smiled at me, but would not talk to me, so I became afraid. I thought I must tell you.
Then some of the family entered Asano's room.
And we were startled to see, by the light of a small lamp, the figure of our dead daughter. She appeared as if kneeling in front of a chest of drawers that once contained her ornaments and garments.
We were all bewildered and a little afraid.
A woman is often very fond of her robes and trinkets, and Asano was very much attached to her belongings. Perhaps she has come back to look at them. Many a dead persons would do that. Unless they be donated to the parish temple. If we give Asano's clothes and ornaments to the temple, perhaps her spirit will find rest.
And so, the following morning, Asano's ornaments were taken to the temple.
But the ghost of Asano came back the next night and stared at the chest of drawers as before.
And she came back the night after that, and the night following, and every night for a whole week.
And so, our house became a house of fear.
That is when Asano's mother came to see me at the temple, and she asked me for guidance.
Our dead daughter appears every night in front of a chest of drawers that once contained her clothes and ornaments.
There must be something about which she has reason to feel anxious in or near that chest of drawers.
But we have emptied them. There's nothing in there.
Very well. Tonight, I shall keep watching that room and see what can be done. You must give orders that no one should go in that room unless I call.
At sundown, the priest came to our house. He remained alone in Asano's room, but no apparition appeared till after midnight.
That is when the figure of Asano outlined herself in front of the chest of drawers. Her face had a mournful look, and she remained staring at the chest of drawers. I have come to help you, Asano. Is there something that troubles you in that chest of drawers? The shadow of the figure gives a slight nod of the head. So I open the first drawer. It is empty. Successfully, I open the second, the third, and the drawers after that in turn. I carefully search behind them and inside them, but still nothing. However, the figure of Asano remains gazing as wistfully as before at the chest of drawers. Whatever can she want? Suddenly, it occurs to me that there might be something in the lining of the last drawer. I open it and I find a letter. Is this the thing that troubles you? Shall I burn it at the temple? Very well. It shall be burned at the temple this very morning, and only I shall know the contents of it. Then the figure of Asano smiles and vanishes.
Waiting anxiously for him.
Do not be anxious. She will not appear again.
And she never did.
The letter was a love letter written to Asano during the time she was studying at Kyoto. I alone know what was in the letter, and the contents of it shall die with me.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
Thank you, sir. A classic story.
I remember seeing this one performed by a Kamisha Bay artist in the park near where we lived when we were younger.
Which story is it?
The Mystery Train. Do you remember it?
Oh yes, I remember this one. This was a big classic with all of my friends.
It always used to scare me, that story. The girl alone on the train. The white ghostly figure that attacks her. It's probably silly now, but it really used to scare me back then.
There always seemed to be a young child in danger in lots of these stories. Do you remember the perils of Pauline? She was strapped to the railway track with the train thundering down towards her.
I always used to like the ones with superheroes in. Golden Bat versus Nazo, Emperor of the Universe. Golden Bat always came out victorious, of course.
Bunny Bushido was my favourite. Do you remember him?
Kabuki Cowboy and Tiger Boy. My heroes. I know. Why don't we try to retell the story of the mystery train? It'll bring back happy memories.
Should we all try to help with the telling of this tale before our train arrives? We'll need someone to do some train noises.
Oh, we'll do that.
Okay, right, and we'll need someone to represent the figure of the hand.
I can represent the figure of the hand.
Great.
First we'll need the old couple and the train conductor.
I'll be your train conductor. I think I even have a whistle somewhere.
Then we'll need the sleeping student and the young girl.
I could be the student. I already am one.
And I can play the part of the young girl. And we can be the narrators. The mystery train. It is late in the evening. An old wooden train rattles through the grimy suburbs of Tokyo.
There are only 4 people in the carriage.
In one corner of the carriage, an old couple is sleeping upright. A student is sleeping, standing up. And a young girl returning home after visiting her grandma.
Suddenly, the train stops.
The carriage door opens. A white, ghostly figure steps on the train. The young girl stares in horror at the masked figure in the shape of a giant hand.
She covers her eyes.
As the monstrous shape moves towards her, the large hand seems to crush her tiny body. She falls unconscious.
The train resumes its journey.
The train conductor rouses the unconscious girl. She tries to describe the horrible hand monster. The conductor smiles indulgently and pats the girl's shoulder.
He reassures her that it was only a bad dream.
But suddenly the ghostly hand reappears, looming over the conductor and the girl.
What could possibly happen next?
Come back tomorrow to find out more.
Not this time, I'm afraid. It's almost 7 o'clock. The train will be arriving soon.
But that's how it always ended.
There was always a different tale the next day.
Please, I have a different tale to tell. A simple story for everyone.
Well, we'd better make it quick then. The train's arriving soon and I want to shut the cafe as soon as it gets here.
My story is of the cherry tree of the 16th day. In the province of Ayu, there is a very famous and ancient cherry tree called the cherry tree of the 16th day. It is called by this name because it blooms every year on the 16th day of January, and only upon that one day during the period of great cold. But the cherry tree of the 16th day blooms with a life that is not, or was not, originally its own, because the ghost of myself is in that tree. This tree grew in my garden, and it often flowered at the end of March or the beginning of April. I played under that tree when I was a child, and my parents and grandparents and ancestors had hung on its branches bright strips of coloured paper, inscribed with poems of praise season after season for more than 100 years. But the years seemed to drain away, and almost like in the winking of an eye, I became old, outliving all my children. There seemed nothing in the world for me to live for, except that tree.
But in the summer of a certain year, the tree began to wither and died. Exceedingly, the old woman sorrowed for the tree. So some neighbours brought her a young and beautiful cherry tree, hoping thus to comfort her. She thanked them and pretended to be glad.
Really, my heart was full of pain, for I had loved the old tree so well that nothing could have consoled me for the loss of it. Then there came to me a happy thought. I remembered a way by which the dying tree might be saved.
It was the 16th day of the first month. Alone she went into her garden and bowed down before the withered tree.
I beseech you once more to bloom, for I am going to die in your stead, and it is my belief that one can truly give away one's life to a person, a creature, or even to a tree, by the blessing of the gods. Then I sat down upon the cloth in front of the withered tree, and the spirit of myself melted into the tree and made it blossom in that same hour.
And every year, that tree still blooms on the 16th day of the first month, in the season of deep snow.
Such then is the story, as it has been handed down to us.
The train's here. It's quite packed. I'm not sure if you'll get on.
Please, sir, let me help you. Just wait back 5 minutes. I'll tell you. Enjoy it. I'm sure it'll be good for you. Thank you.
Are you ready, Shizu? It is time for us to head back into the old city.
Not me, Father. I'm not going with you. I've thought about it a lot over the past few hours. And I'm not going with you.
But what about our mission? Our universal peace?
Your mission, Father. Your mission. I'm going to catch the train to find my own mission. My own life.
She's coming with us. We're gonna look after her, don't worry.
Think of me sometime, daughter.
I'll think of you every day, Father. Our separation is only a temporary, physical thing.
Well, I suppose I should collect my things then. My belongings. My toy theater, as you call it.
Mr. Kamishibe, perhaps I was wrong. What I said about the value of your toy theatre. Perhaps there is a place for your stories in such dark and desperate times as these.
That is what I believe.